Hello, thank you for joining me for Connecting to STEM Careers. My name is Nicole Taylor, and I am an instructional content specialist with ICD. I'm super excited to share these new lessons with you. When you think about STEM, it is such a broad subject area. It's often really hard for students to even grasp what it means. It's really hard for students to grasp what it means now, but in the long run, like, what does it mean to actually work in a STEM field? Or what could a job look like in the science, technology, engineering, or mathematics areas? So our idea behind Connecting to STEM Careers was to really pull back the curtain to introduce kids to people who are working in STEM fields, to really help to make STEM come alive for kids. So what you'll see is real people who look like me and you, who are really taking kids along the way to share with them what they do, how they arrived at that profession, and the ins and outs, what they like and what they don't like about that profession. Along with introducing kids to the career, you'll also have multiple ways to engage the learner to ensure that kids are actually able to abstract some things out of the lesson. Because we want kids to not only see examples of professionals working in STEM careers, but we also want kids to see themselves and see that it's able and it's attainable and it's possible for them to do later on. So I'm going to jump on our website, and what you'll see is if you visit ICV Online, you will simply use your login credentials in order to log in. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to use my login credentials. And once I log in, you'll see that I have already set up a course that is Connecting to STEM Careers. So I'm going to click on my course, and you'll see all of these exciting professionals that we're going to share with students. So we have a medical malpractice attorney, physician assistant, transportation planner, engineers, an analytical chemist. There are over 20 lessons here that are composed of a STEM professional, along with all of the lesson components that you will need to use this with your students. So we're going to jump into this Connecting to STEM Careers, and you'll see that it's titled Connecting to STEM Careers Chemist. And so that lets you know what the profession is. So if I click on view, you will see at the top is the video, which is the interview. And so our chemist, her name is Molly Enright. And so you can hit play, and that will take you through Molly's interview. You can also see that we have instructional materials. And so these instructional materials, you can click on horizontal alignments. It lets you see how this lesson might align to some things that you're already doing within your class. Here's scientific thinking and investigation, along with scientific laws and principles. And so it kind of lets you know how that aligns there. You can also see that you can see our action plan, which is exactly what students would use in order to know what they're going to do in the lesson. So it says, it gives you the objective, and this lesson is going to tell exactly what a chemist does, how to become a chemist, and the skills needed to become a chemist. And so that outline, those objectives are very similar across all of these interviews, because the purpose was really to give kids insight, to give our ICUV students insight into these specific careers. So you guys can see the essential questions here. How does this career even relate to the STEM field? Allowing kids to make those connections with this specific career as a chemist, and how that relates to the broad field of STEM. How can someone prepare for this career? And then what is completed in that career. And so on the action plan, it just outlines exactly what students will need to do. In the lesson plans, you also have multiple multiple different a variety of activities or projects that you can choose from. And so I'll just go through to show you what those look like. Of course, depending upon your class period, depending upon your objective with a specific career, then you're able to kind of pick and choose and decide what works best for you. So the first activity is if-then statements. And so what the if-then statements do is they allow a student to do exactly that. They're going to chart their path to this specific career. And for this career, we're looking at a chemist career. And so they're going to say, if I do one thing, then they're going to tell what would be the reaction. So it says, write the following if-then statement on a sheet of paper. And so the first one is done for students. It says, if I want to be a chemist, then I will need to study chemistry in college. So that just, if eventually I want to go and be a chemist, I'm going to have to dig deep and I'm going to have to study chemistry more. Next, students are going to write another if-then statement that connects with the statement before. So they said, if I want to be a chemist, then I will need to study chemistry in college. So next, the if is going to be the last then statement. So now the if is going to be, if I want to study chemistry in college, then I will need to, I don't know, take an intro chemistry class in high school. Then I will need to have an understanding of chemistry. Then I will need to maybe take upper level science classes in high school. I don't know what that looks like. And then students, because this is really kids really thinking about, if I'm really interested in going into this field, what kind of things can I do? So then the kids can backtrack. And so it would allow them to keep going with if-then statements to back their actions all the way up to today. So what can I do right now if I want to go into the field of chemistry? That is the if-then statements. The next activity that we'll look at is a mind map. And so in this mind map, students are going to be provided this map, and they're simply going to complete the mind map by adding 12 more spokes to the map. So they can add text, they can use color coding and visuals. The key concept here is, again, to allow kids to map out how they can become a chemist, as well as what they've learned about the profession of chemistry. I know when I was a middle school or a high school student, I needed something like this. I heard about professions, but I never really had someone to walk me through, this is what I do, and this is how you can do it too. So this is a really powerful piece for students looking at maybe exploring STEM careers. I know that I'm an educator. I don't know what it takes to be a chemist, so I can only take kids so far. So it's very beneficial for even me as an educator to have this hands-on, this eyewitness, this STEM person who's working in this STEM career field to really walk us through what it looks like to be a chemist. And so you can see that they already have chemist, or the career will be in the middle, along with 4 spokes. So here's education requirements, personal professional interests, job responsibilities, and potential employers and employers. And so what students can do then is, based off what they saw in the interview, they can actually take that information and add it onto their mind map, but then they can also go out and research, or maybe even add some things that they know that weren't included on the mind map. The idea here is to just get kids thinking about ultimately how they can do that job that is in the middle of the mind map. The next activity that we will look at is My Life As. And so this gives students an opportunity to imagine themselves a day in the life of a person in that career field. So again, we're looking at chemists. So it says they're going to imagine they've been hired to become a chemist, and they're going to detail what they do in their day-to-day life. Like they're imagining that being a chemist is their dream job. So that's why it's important for them to listen to that interview. And what I really like about the interviews is that you really can hear the passion of the person working in the chemistry field. And I feel like it's long enough to give kids a quick view into what the job looks like. So after the student is watching the video, as they're watching it, of course, they're taking notes, maybe writing down, bulleting what they learned. Then they're going to take these ideas and they're going to consider the questions. What would your life be like in this profession as a chemist? What would you need to do to prepare? What would your daily task look like? What would your college degrees be? And how would you feel working in this career? So they could actually take the information from the chemist in the interview, but they could also maybe go and research others who are working in chemistry and use that information as well. So they're going to take their notes and take their answers to those questions, and then they'll write a paragraph that answers the questions and turn it in to you. So they're able to kind of imagine what their life would look like in that profession. The next activity is talking drawing. This is a great activity because some kids like to add pictures. I know sometimes students like to write things out in sentences, and I know a varied approach allowing kids to use both images and words helps a lot. So again, this is focused on allowing kids to do a brain dump and really allowing them to plan to be a chemist, to work in that STEM field. So they're going to draw everything they know about being a chemist to help others understand what it means to work in that field. So students will close their eyes and consider what being a chemist is all about. So thinking about what being a chemist entails based on the chemistry interview that they watch that's part of this lesson. Once they open their eyes, they're going to draw an image and kind of imagine what it would be like to represent the work, the daily schedule, or anything else they can think of when it comes to being a chemist. Then they're going to label their images as needed. So of course, as they're doing a brain dump and drawing those pictures, if there's anything, maybe they draw instruments, or I know this specific interview, she talks about working in the lab. She's actually sitting in a lab area. So maybe they draw some of those things and they want to label them, then they would do that then. Underneath the drawing, and they're just going to write a few sentences that tell what they write. They can tell what they created as well as the important concepts that they learned from the interview. So this is a great combination of writing as well as drawing. I really like the brain dump at the front end so the kids can kind of get it all out, label the drawings, and then go back and tell you exactly what they all mean. The last activity that we're going to look at is a 2-minute talk. And so what this is going to do is you're going to put kids in groups and they are going to watch the video, and they're going to tell everything they know about being a chemist, right? So the kids are going to be divided into groups of 4. You'll decide, it says the oldest person in the group will go first. You'll explain that to them. The oldest person will go first, and then the next oldest until the youngest person in the group gets a turn to speak. You're going to set a timer as a teacher, and the first speaker is going to tell about the educational requirements of a chemist. When it's time to begin, you're going to tell them that they're going to talk for 2 minutes because it is a 2-minute talk. So they can talk about the major. They can even talk about Molly's educational experience, because I know she goes into detail in her interview as well. So they can talk about maybe college majors, maybe college classes, maybe coursework, anything that they know about being a chemist. Once that 2 minutes is up, they're going to pass the mic to the next speaker, and the next speaker is going to talk about job duties. And so you will continue this 2 minutes, and the other speakers are simply, they're not speaking, they're listening for 2 minutes until it is their time. And so then they'll talk about job duties. In the next 2 minutes, they'll talk about skills or personal attributes. And then the last person will talk about career options that you have after you become a chemist. Again, just give kids another way to really see themselves as chemists, gives them another way to just really talk through what it looks like to work in the STEM field. Once everyone is finished, then the group can share out as a whole, choose a speaker, and they can share out with the class. I forgot to mention at the very top, the most important part of this lesson is the interview. This is where the magic starts, right? And so you could easily, you can share the video and the PowerPoint with students in Google Classroom, or you could simply share this and watch this as a class. And so this video will introduce you to our chemist, Molly Enright, who allowed us to interview her for this lesson to introduce kids to the field of chemistry. Along with the activities, and you can see that each one of these interviews will have 5 different ways for you to engage the learner, to really allow the learner to dissect that career and really think about and see themselves in that field. Along with each lesson, you'll also receive a check for understanding. Each lesson also has a 5-question check for understanding that is specific to that interview. Again, I love how these lessons combine what the chemist says on the video, but it also allows kids to kind of dig through that information and really decipher, like, hey, I need to go to school and major in chemistry if I want to be a chemist. I don't like science. Maybe that isn't for me. But the other lessons, there's so many lessons, over 20 lessons for students to dig through in order to see what it really means to work in STEM fields. And so you can see that these questions are specific to Molly's interview. You see Molly's name. You can see where she's studying. You can also see that she is currently a graduate student. She's working on her PhD. And so these questions will also help you as a teacher to really encourage students to watch the interview, because these are specific to the interview as well. Well, I just want to thank you so much. This has been a walkthrough of our Connecting to STEM Careers new lessons. These are really exciting lessons. Again, going back, and you'll see that there are so many lessons that will be available for you and your students to really make working in the STEM field tangible. It's such a huge, when you say work in STEM, that's so many different things, because you're talking about the science, technology, engineering, math, so many different careers connect to the STEM field, that it's really great for students to be able to see, that job sounds like something I'm interested in, or maybe this sounds close to something that I'm interested in, so that they can see themselves working in the STEM field. Thank you again for joining me to learn more about Connecting to STEM Careers. You will receive credit for your attendance in this session, and look for your email where you will get more information and you will receive points. Thank you so much.